Hey guys, just wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to add funding streams to our folks. This is something that I am hoping that each department can kind of figure out who should be in charge of this. I've given access to all department directors as well as all administrative assistants. I have not given this to all of our program directors because I do feel like there should be one point of contact in each department to make some of these updates for our folks. So I leave that up to you. If you need me to change the permission settings, please let me know. But in order to add a funding stream to somebody, so this is somebody gets approved for a certain amount of hours or certain service, and these are folks that are already in our services. Anybody that's coming in new, that would be handled through the outreach module. So this is if services change or update for people that we are currently serving. So in order to add a funding stream to somebody, you're going to go to people. I've already narrowed my view just to Donald Duck so that you guys don't see any names of people that we serve. But for Donald Duck, you're going to go to his profile, and you would do this for any person in services. And then you're going to go to program here. And over here, now Donald Duck is our test guy, so he's in a lot of programs, but over here you would see where they currently are receiving services at. So in this case, he's receiving services at a test home under residential. He's in Meaningful Day, he's in personal supports, he's in supportive employment. He's in a lot of different things. Now, most of our people, obviously, you're probably just going to see, you know, maybe residential and Meaningful Day. You might see, you know, just support services, and then there could be multiple funding streams under that service. So here, if I have residential and I go to the funding streams for that, it's going to show me what shows up for him. Now, if this person had maybe direct support hours for one-on-one or something, you would see an additional funding stream below this one. Let's see, let's do a support services. So for support services, you can have, you know, a standard number of hours for this person, or we could also add something for this. So for support services, we can go to select. These are all of the different funding streams that could be possibly attached to support services or personal supports. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say we're going to add some respite care hours for this particular person. So I'm going to click this and say add. It's going to give me this prompt screen here. You don't have to put in anything for the PCIS source. That's something that will eventually go away, obviously, when we move from PCIS to LTSS. You do need to put in an effective date, and the effective date and the start date can be two different dates. So for the effective date, sorry, should have turned off my notifications. For the effective date, you can go back in time, you can go forward in time, you can add things ahead of time, whatever works out. So in this case, I'm going to say, you know, maybe this person started getting funding on the 1st of May, but they're not going to be effective with us until the 30th of May. So it can be two different dates. It just depends on how that works out for that person. You do want to mark whether or not they can record attendance on the weekend. So thinking about Meaningful Day, if it's day hab, likely you're not going to be recording attendance on the weekend, so you would want to click that off. But anything for support services or residential, you want to make sure that that is clicked on, because you know, we could have attendance on the weekend that we want to record. You don't have to put anything in this description here, and then you have the option to put how we're going to be tracking this. I want to point out that if you do say we want to track this by money, then what's going to show up on our attendance for staff and for you is going to be a money amount, which is not going to work out most of the time. We want to start and end time for anything with personal supports or support services. Same thing for Meaningful Day. So likely you're going to do time. You have the ability to change this, but if we are doing, in this case, we're doing respite care by hour. So you want to make sure that that's time by hours. You would put in the amount of hours this person got. So maybe they got, I don't know, 200 hours of respite care. You would put in here whether it's good for a year or a fiscal year. Now it would be a year from the start date. So if that start date was maybe their PCP implementation date, then that would make sense for you to do it by year. Or you can do it by fiscal year. If you do it by fiscal year, it will discontinue it as of the fiscal year. So I have been putting a lot of folks in here under year so that we can start tracking this by their PCP implementation date so that it's easier for us to keep track of. And you would want to say for the next 1 year. That way, it tracks it for you within the system, and it will count down the hours that are left. Used hours, if you're putting this in sort of after the fact and somebody maybe has already used, 50 of those 200 hours, you can put in 50 here. And then when you go to your attendance sheet, it will show, that there's only 150 hours left that we can log in for that person. So we do have the ability to do that. And then once you're done that, everything is correct, you can just go ahead and do an update. And if you notice here, this is pending a start date because I put the start date in the future. If you had put the start date back or the start date as of today, it would show that this is already active. I just wanted to show you this as an example. And then if you go to attendance, let me pull this up. I just want to pull up Mr. Donald Duck. If you scroll down, this is what we just added today for respite care. So you see we did the start date was May 30th. So everything prior to that is we can't mark time for it. The service doesn't start until the 30th. And the 30th is in the future, so it's grayed out, it's not green. So we can't add time for it yet. But that's how it's going to show on our attendance. So the only way that something shows on attendance for us is if we have that service funding stream attached to that person. So that hopefully is a good example for you to understand. Sorry, that's my animal sneezing if you hear that. So hopefully that's a good example for you to add service funding streams to somebody. Now you can also discontinue a service funding stream. So let me see who I want to get them out of. Maybe for the supportive employment, we have, looks like job development prep, 20 hours until 5/31 was already in here. So I can go ahead and I can change that if this was discontinued, and I can do a discharge. Sorry, I was looking for it on my screen. You can do a discharge and then a discharge date. So maybe, we discharged him on the 22nd. So this will give you the message of service will be discharged immediately, but can be seen in history. So this isn't going to go away for us. You don't want to just delete something because then we won't have any sort of track record of what happened to that person. Then you can do an update, and you can see this person is still in this program. They've still been admitted to this program, but we don't have any attached funding streams for that person. Okay. So that is sort of a quick tutorial on adding funding streams for the people that are already in services. So if you have any questions with that, or if you go into any of the current programs and you're not seeing the service funding stream that you need to attach to them, please let me know. All of our services should have the correct service funding streams attached to them. Okay. Is there anything? Oh, you can also add a program. So if somebody's already in services, say, they're in residential and we have now admitted them into Meaningful Day, you can do that. You just have to add the program here first. So you can do add, and it will ask you to select the program, and you would just sort of go down the hierarchy and figure out, where they were going. So if he wasn't already admitted into Meaningful Day, you could click Meaningful Day, and you can say, he's actually at the day program, or we're doing supportive employment for this person. So in this case, I deleted him from supportive employment, right? Yeah. So we should, oh, sorry, because I already took him out of there. Can we do this one? No. Sorry, Donald Duck is already added to so many different things. I can do this one. So this is not a reasonable example, but this would be if he was going to do support services in another county. This will actually let me add it. So you just need to add the program. So we have it down here. And then again, you would add the funding stream, because adding a program is not going to help us to mark attendance for that person. You need to add a funding stream. So for this, maybe it's just regular personal support. And again, it would give you the same screen, and it would give you an effective date, a start date. You decide whether or not attendance should be recorded on the weekend. You don't need a description, and you need to put in the funding limits, which will give us that end date, whether you're doing it by year or by fiscal year. The other option would be if somebody had an end date for services that did not coincide with an entire calendar year or fiscal year. You know, I don't know if this is the case for anybody that we're currently serving, but maybe they get, you know, one-on-one hours for the next 2 months or something like that, because, you know, there's something going on with this person. You can do an end date here, and that sort of overrides this per year kind of thing over here. So you do have the ability to mark things in different ways in here. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Again, if you would prefer that somebody outside department directors or administrative specialists in your program have access to changing funding streams for our people, please let me know. But again, I would urge you to sort of pick a point person instead of opening it up to all program directors, because I want to make sure that this information being entered for the people in services is correct, because if it is not entered correctly, it's going to mess up attendance, which once LTSS is open for us, that will mess up our billing. So we need to make sure that we are setting up our funding streams correctly the first time. Otherwise, we are going to come into issues with billing, and Denise won't be happy with us. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.